That morning, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez opened her phone and found her world turned upside down as a CNN notification flashed like a bolt from the blue reporting that Senator John E. Kennedy was suing her for $80 million over defamation, the rising star of the Democratic Party known for shaking up politics with her massive following and fiery speeches now faced a legal storm that threatened to derail her career. As the youngest congresswoman in U.S. history and a symbol of Democratic socialism, AOC had stepped from the Bronx into Congress with youth boldness and an uncompromising voice known for pushing the Green New Deal, universal health care, and relentless confrontations on social media. But that same sharpness made her a lightning rod for conservative rage, and now she had provoked one of the most formidable opponents in Washington. Senator John E. Kennedy was no ordinary politician. He was a blend of Southern charm and intellectual force shaped at Vanderbilt and Oxford, a loyal Trump ally and beloved by conservatives for his veiled barbs delivered with a calm drawl. The lawsuit wasn't just a political counterpunch. It was a direct assault on her reputation and financial future, all stemmed from an Instagram live stream where AOC accused Kennedy of accepting illegal donations from oil giants to sabotage clean energy bills, calling him a puppet for billionaires selling out the people's future. Her words went viral, but they triggered the defamation suit. Kennedy labeled her statement as false and reputation-destroying, and within hours the media frenzy ignited. Fox News and MSNBC waged narrative wars, while social media exploded with hashtags, memes, and outrage. AOC initially brushed it off as just another right-wing stunt, but she underestimated the precision of Kennedy's legal case, and the mountain of evidence that threatened to unleash this wasn't just noise, it was a calculated strike designed to shake the very foundation of her political identity and could become a defining moment in her controversial rise. The storm, however, had started weeks earlier during another impulsive Instagram Live watched by over 200,000 people as AOC discussed clean energy. When asked about Senate delays, she zeroed in on Kennedy, accusing him of blocking bills because of oil money filling his pockets. Her tone was sharp, her gestures pointed, as if he stood in front of her, calling it blatant corruption and saying the people deserve the truth. She ended with a sarcastic jab suggesting Kennedy rename himself Senator Big Oil. Her followers cheered her on, flooding the chat with praise. But what she saw as bold truth-telling was in fact a legal minefield and the beginning of a battle unlike any she had faced before. Meanwhile, down in Louisiana, Kennedy watched the drama unfold with calm precision, sitting in his Baton Rouge office replaying AOC's words on a tablet. With over 50 years of legal and political experience, Kennedy was not a man who reacted emotionally. He was a seasoned strategist, a former Democrat turned conservative stalwart. He appeared the next day at a Shreveport factory surrounded by oil workers and delivered a calm but firm rebuke, saying he wasn't angry, just committed to truth and justice. He announced a lawsuit, and the crowd roared as news cameras captured every word. The media went into overdrive. Fox News labeled AOC an irresponsible agitator, while MSNBC defended her right to criticize policy, but some analysts warned she had crossed a dangerous line. AOC tweeted defiantly, accusing Republicans of trying to silence her for speaking the truth, and vowed not to back down. The post earned praise, but also stirred criticism. She had no idea Kennedy's legal team was quietly assembling a devastating case, including a leaked internal email that would shift the entire narrative. Just days after Kennedy's press appearance, the $80 million lawsuit was filed in federal court, a detailed 60-page complaint that accused AOC of malicious defamation with a smoking gun, a leaked email from her own team where she allegedly wrote that they needed to discredit Kennedy with information true or not. Those three words became the most damaging element of the case and were immediately seized upon by conservative media. Fox News ran with it. Breitbart issued an in-depth breakdown, and even CNN approached with caution, warning that if the email was genuine, AOC had invited legal peril from her Capitol Hill office. AOC felt the pressure mount. Unlike past controversies, this one cut deeper, as a leaked email shattered trust from within her own circle. Some of her team urged a public apology or settlement, but AOC chose defiance, insisting the email was distorted and that Republicans were weaponizing lies to crush dissent. She tweeted another thread, igniting even more debate. Legal experts warned she was only helping Kennedy's case by refusing to de-escalate. Kennedy himself seized the momentum, making appearances in Louisiana, where he stated that lies spread from a public platform must be held accountable. The conservative base cheered, and his words spread rapidly across platforms like Truth Social and Rumble. He knew this was more than a legal fight. It was an opportunity to weaken the progressive movement that AOC embodied in the aftermath of the email leak. Her Capitol Hill office grew tense campaign posters and rally photos now echoed with fading hope. AOC, once the bright voice of youth and change, began to feel the weight of isolation. Former allies felt quiet support from the Democratic establishment evaporated. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer remained distant. Pelosi mentioned the lawsuit briefly in a meeting without emotion, while Schumer deferred comment entirely. Even fellow progressives offered muted support. Bernie Sanders only tweeted that debate must be rooted in facts. Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib sidestepped questions or offered vague calls for unity on social media, where she once dominated the conversation. Began to shift. Progressive influencers split between defending her and criticizing her recklessness. One TikTok video racked up millions of views, accusing her of sabotaging her own cause. AOC had long been used to fighting opposition from the right, but now found herself reeling from silence and betrayal on the left, and the once roaring digital crowd now grew uncertain, hesitant, and divided. Analyzing the leaked email, many supporters began asking hard questions with comments such as, AOC is our icon, but why did she let herself fall into this trap? Growing more common across social media platforms. Others wrote she needs to apologize, or too arrogant, chipping away at the image of invincibility she had built over the years. In an attempt to regain control, AOC launched another live stream, hoping to reignite the passion of her base seated in front of a bookshelf filled with literature on social justice, wearing a tax. The rich t-shirt, she spoke with her usual determination, insisting the lawsuit was not about her, but about Republicans trying to crush anyone who dared challenge the system, declaring she would not bow down. Yet this time the response did not meet her expectations. Although thousands tuned in the live chat was filled with skeptical questions about proof and accountability. While some loyal fans cheered, many viewers openly questioned her judgment, asking if it would not be wiser to apologize and end the saga. The doubt that once existed only among critics had now begun creeping into the very base that once idolized her, and the betrayal went beyond social media. Even within her own team, murmurs of discontent began surfacing. A senior aide who had helped shape her online brand leaked to the press that the team had warned her against making unsubstantiated claims, saying she was too confident in the power of social media and refused to listen. Outlets like The Hill and Politico picked up the story, increasing the pressure on AOC, while Kennedy's legal team continued to press forward, releasing supplemental court filings that included internal messages from her staff discussing how to use the Kennedy story to gain media traction. Although AOC did not author the messages herself, they contributed to perception that the attack on Kennedy had been strategic, rather than principled. Conservative influencers pounced on the moment, generating viral memes portraying AOC as a self-destructive villain and mocking her efforts at damage control. AOC walked into her Capitol Hill office, her white sneakers feeling heavier than ever. The natural light no longer seemed to energize the way it once had. In just a matter of weeks, Kennedy's lawsuit had transformed her from a fearless progressive icon into a deeply isolated figure. Her daily routine became one of dread. Each morning brought fresh headlines and internal emails, most of which paint her as reckless. Even sympathetic outlets like the New York Times began analyzing her missteps, while social media platforms where she once ruled with unshakable presence turned into battlegrounds filled with parodies and criticism. Viral videos mocked her previous speeches, spliced with sound effect explosions and defeat, racking up tens of millions of views. Alone in her Washington apartment, AOC scrolled endlessly through comments, some encouraging, but most devastating. Her sleepless nights were filled with a quiet desperation, as even supporters began suggesting she was no longer the fighter they once believed and determined to fight back. She hosted another live stream in front of a Green New Deal poster, delivering a defiant message, saying this lawsuit is an attempt to silence me and stop me from fighting for environmental justice. Her voice trembled, yet she pushed forward, but the audience reaction was far from unified. While heart emojis still dotted the screen, many viewers continued pressing her with critical questions. A CNN analyst later commented that AOC was trying to turn a legal issue into a political one, but the public no longer seemed convinced. Beyond media and online reaction, her personal life took a brutal hit as tabloid reporters targeted her family in the Bronx, forcing her mother Blanca to keep the curtains closed and avoid going outside. AOC reassured her mother during a video call, but her voice was heavy with guilt, saying she never meant to drag the family into this. As pressure mounted, she hired private security to protect her family, a costly measure that added to her growing financial crisis. Legal bills had already surpassed $1.5 million, forcing her to sell her small Washington apartment and move into a modest rental. Her financial advisors warned that if Kennedy succeeded in court, even a partial judgment could destroy her financially, and the possibility of losing both her public reputation and personal assets loomed like a shadow within her team. Once a fortress of loyalty, frustration began to bubble to the surface, with aides whispering that her downfall was self-inflicted. A source told Politico that she had been warned but refused to listen, believing her charisma and following would shield her from consequences of betrayal she now felt wasn't from political rivals, but from those she once trusted for support. Seeking solidarity, AOC reached out to progressive allies, but was met with cold distance. Elizabeth Warren made vague comments on MSNBC about the importance of facts over emotions, which were quickly spun by conservative media as abandonment, while other squad members remained silent or offered non-committal statements. The hashtag AOC abandoned began trending and became a favorite weapon among critics. In moments of solitude, AOC began contemplating whether an apology was necessary to end the chaos, but her pride and deep belief in her mission kept her from conceding. Instead, she steeled herself for a legal war, believing her fans would help carry her through. Yet with each passing day, the storm around her intensified. Kennedy's legal team released new documents suggesting coordinated efforts within her staff to amplify attacks against him, and though none were directly from her, the optics were damaging. Conservative outlets from Fox News to Newsmax reported heavily on the revelations, painting her as a reckless manipulator. Videos comparing her to Icarus flying too close to the sun spread across social platforms, and with every update, AOC's credibility suffered further. Meanwhile, Kennedy remained poised, turning every development into political capital. A Republican gathering in Baton Rouge, he was greeted like a champion, standing tall in front of supporters and media. He declared that when someone spreads falsehoods, you must stand and demand justice, not just for yourself, but for everyone who values truth. His message struck a chord, live streamed to millions. Kennedy's blend of homespun charm and legal clarity made him appear as the righteous underdog prevailing against elite power. With every media appearance and courtroom success, he solidified his image as a beacon of accountability, even gaining national attention and admiration among GOP leaders. Ted Cruz called him a conservative warrior. Mitch McConnell praised the lawsuit as a powerful reminder that words have consequences. Kennedy used these endorsements to strengthen his position and increase his national presence, holding meet and greets at oil refineries and connecting deeply with Louisiana voters, many of whom viewed AOC's criticisms as attacks on their livelihoods and values. While Kennedy rose in prominence, AOC's grip on the progressive movement weakened. A judge's decision allowing the lawsuit to proceed to trial dealt a significant blow, stating that the leaked email and internal messages provided preliminary evidence of actual malice and warranted further examination. This ruling was blasted across conservative platforms under headlines declaring Kennedy's looming legal victory. And AOC's unraveling in interviews, Kennedy insisted he bore no personal grudge, but emphasized that using a public platform to spread lies must come with consequences. His quote was shared widely across platforms like Truth Social and Parler, where users hailed him as a symbol of truth and dignity. Memes and videos of Kennedy standing tall while AOC appeared bowed and defeated circulated with captions such as "Don't mess with Kennedy." The lawsuit not only dented AOC's personal and political credibility, but